All right, everybody, welcome to Off the Crypto Cuff. As usual, this is supposed to be a roundtable conversation. Now, please join the conversation in the comments below. We're your hosts, Jeffrey and Jesse. Actually, today in of itself is a big news day. It's August 5th, market crash, a lot of things going on. But a few things that actually did happen the last time we actually talked in the last 2 weeks that I want to be able to touch on. And one of those is a cryptocurrency that we actually track. I'm actually moderately invested in myself, and that's Casper. And we've talked about this on and off about Harmony and the security incident that happened there, where there was actually a complete drain of the Harmony bridge to Ethereum, and that destroyed liquidity on the Harmony chain. And kind of the side effects of that and how they responded weren't that great. And really, I think that this vulnerability speaks a little bit worse than that, because this actually was an on-chain vulnerability. So they did actually put a after action report out there. There's a huge article. I sent you a link on it on our G chat. It's the Casper Network, Casper Blockchain Security update. It's actually a pretty long read. So this is a, kind of like a TLDR. But I did want to touch on this a little bit. So there were 13 accounts that were affected. The total was about $6.7 million. So basically, there was a bug in the smart contract. So when people, I'm assuming what effectively happened is when somebody allowed smart contract on their wallet, it executed code and gained privilege on their wallet. Now, I wanted to kind of make a little bit of comparison. I'm not into Solana. I'm not a really big fan of Solana, but they've had a lot of shutdowns, and the way they do their shutdowns and reboots for the developers, it sounds very centralized in the way the communication happens. Here, Casper actually, reached out to the node runners, and the node runners actually joined chat, and everybody basically came to a consensus to shut everything off to minimize the risk. And then from the shutdown state, they did the post analysis, found out what was wrong, and they quickly released a patch. And once they had 85% consistency of the patch being released and everybody being updated, they brought the network back up. So far, they've been very transparent about it. It hasn't affected any of their partnerships. From what I can see, it's definitely affected their price. A lot of, fear, walking away. But it's just definitely, for me personally, brings up certain thoughts about, security, what, it means, when something should be considered stable when you're talking about blockchains, moving value, because we talk about utility of the things that me and Jesse are looking for. And with a chain like this, it is trying to bring utility, but what ultimately are the risks and the downsides of that? So you do have like XRP. XRP technically doesn't have smart contracts yet, and they're trying to figure out ways around it, because it is kind of Bitcoin-esque in that aspect. So there was actually somebody giving a talk, and I only listened for like 5 seconds, but there are ways of doing it on chain to kind of emulate what a smart contract would do. And so they're trying to do that within the XRP ledger. So I just wanted to bring this to the fore. Yeah.
It's interesting. Hats off to them. It seems like they minimized the effect that it had pretty quickly. From what I could see there, they seem to, it looks like they segregated it to a couple wallets, pulled those wallets, and then basically pulled them off and then did their fix.
Mm-hmm.
But they paused the network. So there were 2 blocks within the current era. So it was pretty quick. I mean, we've seen this happen in other blockchains. Algorand had that problem, right?
It was but it was the wallet that actually had the problem.
Yeah, but I mean, it affected a lot of people. So
it had an effect on a lot of people, but it wasn't actually the chain itself.
yeah,
So that's where I'm kind of making the distinction, is
I
that this
gotcha.
was actually a flaw inside of the chain itself.
Yeah, not the wallet.
Yeah, it's like wallets are attachments. You can actually have vulnerabilities there that allow people to get into the wallet. That happened to Algorand. I think that happened. I don't know if that happened to MetaMask, but I mean, maybe it's just a matter of time where they got lucky, or they managed to find it and say a step ahead of people looking for this type of stuff.
Right. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Tonight's drink, Woodford got the 2-liter bottle that I won at a drawing. That was kind of fun.
Yep. So I brought the bottle up today. There it is.
Oh, did you finish it out? Huh? It was big.
Yeah, making progress.
You got one more glass there. Looks like
every 2 weeks.
Yeah, I'm just made a little old fashioned Woodford. The double oak is generally better for old fashioned, but this one's pretty good. I don't mind too much. But yeah. So what else did you want to talk about? You said you had a couple things here.
That was the big one. I wanted to bring the Casper news up. I am not going to sell out. I want to maintain my investment. I'm just I'm proceeding kind of with caution over it, and it's just I just wanted to bring it up because it definitely brings things up, especially when you're trying to be critical about the way people are designing and releasing stuff. So it's just like at a certain point, it's like, how can you be critical of Chain X when this happened to something that you're promoting? Even though that we're not trying to give financial advice, we're just actually talking about the ones that we think are actually going to be moving the ball forward in the areas we care about. So
the I had a thought and I just lost it. Dang it. I hate when I do that. No, that's fine.
But yeah,
ETFs is a big one right now. I'll hit on Ethereum. I guess it was about 731 is when this came out. The the ETFs hit on Ethereum. Make strong debut. Crypto games are having a moment and more. Yeah. I don't know. Not really a big deal for us because I don't think we mess with that too much. But just guess kind of big news for Ethereum. But yeah, everything's been quite the mess today with the market all in general. It's the Dow hit a low 12 points today. I think. I don't know if it went. I haven't checked since I left work today.
I did look it up, and it turns out this mess started Friday. At the close of the Japanese stock market, they were down like 13.5%. And then once they closed, and then the market started opening up today, those markets started to catch up with the downtrend that started in Japan.
Yeah. It seems like it's dragged everything down, the entire market, crypto market.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is to say on stocks, crypto, these are basically called the experts call them risk on assets. And basically, they're risky, they're volatile, so they try to balance their portfolios. And when the market's in high risk state, they transition out, and they typically are in the know somehow and are able to move their assets into safer places. And usually, average Joe's left holding the bag until things start to recover.
Yep, unfortunately.
But yeah, it's definitely been one hell of a day, and that's kind of hilarious. I saw one article that was like kind of sort of trying to blame Trump, for Bitcoin crashing. I'm like, the entire market across the board is crashing. It's not just Bitcoin.
Yeah, well, he's trying to say Kamala, it's bad for her too. So it's it's typical.
Apparently, the Fed, or the Federal Reserve for the U.S., had an emergency meeting. I saw conflicting of course, the conflicting reports. Some people are saying is like a lot of people are asking or begging them to reduce interest rates. Somebody close to the situation saying that they're going to be holding fast on the interest rates, because inflation hasn't hit the numbers they want. At a certain point, though, is that people have to get used to the prices as they are, because the Federal Reserve only cares about the year-on-year inflation, not the accrued inflation over years. So it's already jumped, 15, 20% or whatever it is in most things.
Yeah.
Once they get to their year-on-year 2%, the prices will actually remain high, and we would have forgotten or just gotten used to it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm seeing everything's going up. I think today I got what was it? I can't remember what it was. Something came in one of my bills, and it's like, oh, I know it was Verizon. My Verizon cable service, the whatever internet cables, due to increasing, blah blah blah. We're having to increase prices this year, this and that. It's like, I don't know. I feel like every other day I'm getting some sort of notification where things are going up. They're increasing our prices. And it's like, well, I guess it's time to start trimming the fat when it comes to streaming services. That's what's going to happen. So, oh yeah. Speaking of which, a lot of people dump Netflix because of the whole Kamala thing. I don't know if you heard about that or not. But
no, I didn't.
Yeah. So basically, Netflix, I guess, donated, the CEO or whatever, donated a bunch of money to Kamala's her election fund or whatever. So a lot of people are dumping Netflix because of that. So, which is kind of funny because they've done multiple things in there over the years that people just start dumping them. Price increases out of nowhere, getting rid of certain things, and people have dumped them quite a few times. I think at one time they lost over half their subscriptions because they did some change with the subscription. This was like 4 or 5 years ago, I think, too. But yeah, it was just a bad decision. So just interesting, It's the whole thing like Chick-fil-A, right? Back when Chick-fil-A saying, hey, basically the whole what you call it, all the LGBTQ stuff and all that, whatever they kind of weren't standing behind it, and that's when they decided to a lot of people stopped. So, well, I'm not going to Chick-fil-A anymore. But I don't know. I don't know. I think it's bad when people are, or sorry, I mean, interrupt you. I think it's just bad when people are just upholding a business because of the decision one of the business owners makes. As far as like if they provide a service and you like the service and enjoy it, I guess I kind of see it. It's like it's almost okay. I'm gonna step back on that because I started thinking of much more extreme situations, and we don't want to be funding certain situations with our money.
Yeah, that was the Disney Plus boycott and something similar. A bunch of people cut that off.
Yeah,
it's definitely kind of conflicting, but it's also a matter of, quite frankly, he's getting the money,
from the subscriptions that we are paying for. That's why I step back. Okay. Yeah. But no, but also like I look at too, is like there's all these people who work for that company, and this, unfortunately, the decisions they're making, affects them. Because like, now let's say they lose 25% of their subscribers, what's that going to do for the business? They're going to cut the business back and cut back employees, potentially, or not hire people, or because they can't afford it, but
it definitely has downstream effects. I mean, once it's kind of unfortunate that the way the law is kind of laid out, because in a way is just like, I do agree with you that there's the freedom of association flows within the First Amendment. So yes, this is like, I mean, as a private citizen, he has the ability to donate to PACs or support whoever he wants. But at the same time, clients have the right to, people paying for subscription service have the right to associate or not. If they disagree with something that, this person does, they have the right to remove themselves from the situation. It's like, do I agree with him supporting the person?
No.
No. Do I agree with the people actually trying to be principled and sticking with those principles and walking away? Yeah.
Yeah, I know. That's why I'm a little.
But it's just like it's like you do. It's a free and fair market. You do what you want.
Yeah.
Ultimately, as a head of such a large company, I'm not advocating for outward force for censorship, but it might actually become more incumbent on somebody that actually is in charge of such a large company to self-censor.
Right.
It's just like you still have your right for your private vote. Support the person at the ballot box or host a private dinner with people that and then just talk about why you support this person, why in other words, advocate more locally. But once you come out in such a public way, I mean, you have to expect backlash.
Yeah, that's true.
Because it could go the other way too.
Yeah. What were we talking about? We were talking about some stuff earlier today. We get off that subject for now. Kind of scroll back.
We were going off today.
Yeah, I know. It's like we could have saved it for this, but
well, it was kind of hard to. No, yeah. Well, I mean, so like Algorand was reaching, it was damn near reaching its all-time lows.
So I want to touch on that. So not Algorand, but so we were kind of talking about today. I said one of the headlines I saw was the Fed isn't panicking, neither should you.
Mm.
All right, I think we both agree on this. Is like that's kind of like, to me, fake news. But if you want to talk, like in that way, but basically, to me, when I read that, I see no, you should be panicking because they're saying don't panic. The Fed's not panicking. There's no reason for you to panic. I feel like maybe you should panic because they're trying to act cool, put it in the news. Don't panic. It's kind of, to me, the opposite, but that's just me.
Yeah. So I did find from, what is this? University of Massachusetts, the Political Economy Research Institute.
Yeah.
Should economists deceive? Pro-social lying, paternalism, and the Ben Bernanke problem. So you and I, we've actually been around long enough. We know exactly what this is. And Ben Bernanke, with a straight face, was talking, the market's good, the market's fine, and pop, right? Yeah. So he was speaking a positive message all the way up until the point to where he could no longer have a positive message.
Yeah, but it's beyond the smoke and mirrors. Like you can't. Yeah.
And the thing is, though, is that in a way, and I've read a similar article. It wasn't this one. This was the one I was able to find because I actually read something similar about this. Is that there is a modicum of justification for holding back some of the truth from the public at large. Because if because when somebody from a position of authority shows fear, it spreads panic across everybody, and panic makes everything 10,000 times worse than it potentially already is. But on the flip side of that, when you tell everybody everything is fine, you're not giving people, especially people that have two brain cells to rub together, the ability or the informed consent to prepare for potentially what's going to happen.
Yeah. I don't know. I think today was a turning point. Something's happening. I don't know. That's how I feel.
Something is breaking in the market.
Yeah, my gut's telling me. I think a lot of, from what I could see, a lot of the companies were reporting bad reports. The last quarter basically just haven't been, the last month, I should say, haven't been, they're seeing a downward, and all this in sales and stuff like that. People are pulling back. People don't have money to be out there blowing anymore and doing things, and they're pulling back. They're not spending money. So it's, people been living on credit cards essentially. They said, one of the things they've been talking about for a while is national credit has been going, debt's been going up. So it's, I think people are just getting to the point where it's like, all right, I gotta pull back a little. I gotta not spend so much. Not only that, look how expensive just to travel here in the U.S. in the country right now. It's crazy. Like how, and it's summertime, people are traveling. They want to do things. Nobody's gonna, people want to have the summer vacations, so they're choosing that over spending. So maybe, I don't know, maybe as we get out of the summer, maybe things may change. We'll see. But I don't know. I think this is a turning point because normally people don't. In the summer, people are spending more money generally. That's when they're out, they're shopping, they're buying things, you're taking vacations, this and that. People are making choices instead of spending, instead of just doing, that's how I feel. At least that's my gut feeling. Yeah. I don't know. Today it was definitely a turn, I think, for something more that we're heading towards.
My gut's been telling me that we've been, even though that nobody in the mainstream wanted to admit it, I feel like we've been in a recession for the last year and a half, 2 years.
Oh, yeah.
This could potentially be the start of another depression. But it's not going to be like the Great Depression of the United States. This is going to be a global depression. We are very interconnected. And one of the more interesting statistics about the Great Depression, and do you want to look this up while I'm talking? The number of people that starved to death during the Great Depression. The interesting thing about that number, and you may have to take a look at percentages to really understand this and for it to hit home to people, is 90% of Americans at the time of the Great Depression was rural and was growing their own food and able to basically provide for themselves to a certain point. They didn't rely on going to a grocery store and spending money to get groceries. Today, that's almost the exact inverse, but a little bit worse. It's about 2%, 2 to 5% of Americans know how to grow food.
Estimated 60 million people.
And the reason why that happened, because there was actually a second event that coincided with the Great Depression. It was the Dust Bowl. There was a, I just brain farted. There was a drought.
Yeah, the farmers, causing many farmers lose their land and homes. So that means if the land was not farmed anymore, so that means,
Yep. So there was a massive drought that coincided with the Great Depression. So you combine those two things together, and it just was the perfect storm for that to happen. Yeah. So something similar can happen, but for a different reason. Because the reason would be is that people just don't know how to grow food. It's like it could be raining, the ground could be fertile, but if you don't know how to actually to produce to be able to feed yourself, it can get, bad. I'm not trying to spread, FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt about, what things are. I'm just pointing out the history of it and how the current situation is kind of rhyming with that history.
Yeah, what's it? Was it High C? An Idiocracy?
Yeah.
What was it? I can't. I'm looking.
It was Brando. It's got electrolytes. It's got everything plants need.
Yeah. Brando. Yeah. It's used water crops instead of water.
But little did they know it contained electrolytes or another term for salts.
Yeah.
Let's salt the earth.
Gosh. Well, yeah, salt the earth. Why can't we get crops to grow? Yeah. Anyways, yeah. I mean, we'll see. I mean, I don't think it's going to be that extreme, but I think we're definitely we're heading towards a downward slope when it comes to the market. I think in the markets, I think it's going to be a kind of a trend for a while, I think.
It's people are definitely going to be hurting. More mom pops are going to probably be closing. You're probably going to hear about more restaurant closings, especially with people not traveling.
Yeah.
The stores have already been closing. I've already been hearing about banks closing up certain. They don't call them stores, branches.
Mm-hmm.
Consolidating. So there's going to be a lot more layoffs coming.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. It's like things get more expensive. Layoffs come. It's like it's a domino effect. Everything starts.
It is definitely a domino effect. And a lot of this, and I described this in the thing in our chat, this is what a free money hangover looks like. We're so used to, cheap interest rates, easy money. We can buy that $500,000 house, off of middle class income. Some people are doing $1 million houses on a middle class income because the interest rate's so low. It's like, look, I can afford that mortgage. Now the interest rates have gone not even to normal rates, to be honest. So it's like these are not free market interest rates. People need to actually understand if the banks were actually competing for your loans and interest, it actually costs money to manage this stuff. Having a central bank manage this and trying to dial this in, that's not a free market. We don't have a true free market when somebody's able to actually to tweak things this way. So yeah, the interest rate could actually end up getting higher potentially. But as the interest rate climbs, people can afford, even less things. So potentially, this does, kind of right the ship a little bit. There's a lot of different directions things can potentially end up going. There's, stagflation where the economy basically just stagnates. That's kind of considered a death spiral. If the Federal Reserve decides to start reducing interest rates and turning the printing press back on, then malinvestment basically starts back up, and then the risk there is hyperinflation. I was talking to my mom recently, and she was like, "What? We haven't experienced hyperinflation yet?" I'm like, "No, Argentina, Weimar Republic. I mean, this is like we have not experienced it to where you need a wheelbarrow of money to buy groceries. It's like imagine taking a grocery cart of money in to buy food." Or it's like money is so like cheap and worthless, you're actually using it to heat your home. You're burning it in your fireplace. We haven't reached that point yet.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. I don't know. Like I was saying though, back to that, they're saying don't panic. That's when you don't panic. You're seeing the red. That's when you buy.
That is a true statement.
I know it's you got to go. We some of the guys we watched and listened to, they always say do the opposite when it comes to the market. Do the opposite of what your gut's telling you, because your gut doesn't know.
That is one of the hardest things to do.
It is.
Speaking of Algorand, the weekly candle. This is on TradingView. You saw how big that red candle was. Yeah. It just turned green.
Did it really?
Yep. So
what was the?
It is a massive wick.
Like where did it go green at? I don't know if you want to screen share that or because I think the bottom of the not the wick, the bottom of the wick was 0.9.
Yeah, 1 second. Let me set this up so I can actually share the screen.
The candle was at 0.11. So where's the bottom of the green? So I was curious.
Yeah, bringing this in so I can share it.
Oh yeah, it does have a little green wick.
Yeah, but you can see that the bottom was at 9.44 cents, and then 11.46 somewhere in there because right now it's 11.48.
Okay.
Yeah, but yeah. So this is my amateur TA. So that we are not TA guys. No, I do actually have links for some guys that actually do it pretty good. Kevin Cage is decent. Coins Kid. There's some people I try to figure it out for myself. So.
Hey, so what are you gonna learn?
Oh, I forgot to add it into the scene. Let me add the scene so we can actually share this with the world. So
Oh, it's not recording it. Okay.
Yeah, no. Okay. So there we go. It's in the scene now.
Okay. Yeah.
So there it is. So
yeah, it's Algo, right? Yeah.
Yeah. This is Algo. You can see Casper's also just pressing. Oh, look, it just turned red again. But Casper just made more new all-time lows. So basically, my Fibonacci's just destroyed. So
Okay.
Bitcoin is ranging, so you can actually see where it did its retracement. So it came back down, almost touched exactly at the low 61.8. Matic is doing horrible. Oh, look at that. Almost came back to its previous cycle low, not its all-time low, but previous cycle low.
Yeah.
Now, this is the gold markets. This is not spot gold. There's a difference. We can discuss that later. But you can actually see that it's at the 1618. So people that think that gold's really going to be taking off this cycle, I seriously doubt it. I don't think it's got a lot of headroom. So 3,500 is probably its max, but it's just probably going to range and sit mostly. There's paper gold and then there's actual physical gold, and the prices are different, and that has to do with the spot price. So I learned more that there's some really good dealers out there. Silver hasn't completely retraced yet, but yeah, that's the markets. Let me not bore people with that.
Yeah. Well,
that's it.
It's been an interesting day, that's for sure. Hopefully, we'll see what the week brings.
Mm-hmm. We'll see what the week brings. And you can actually see is like on the Algorand chart actually showed it. It's just like there was panic. Algorand lost effectively 2 cents in one day. It's already effectively recovered that 2 cents. We'll see what happens between now and Sunday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, even just a 24-hour, just see what it does the next 12 hours or so by tomorrow.
Yeah.
So,
well. So did you have anything you wanted to bring up?
No.
So we basically covered it.
Yeah.
Although okay, you said two things. There was one thing that I did bring up. I sent you a link in chat, and this headline actually, I don't know how I feel about it, but yes, this is the last one. This was basically one of the Ethereum developers talking smack. Let's see if I can't find it. Fed lies. Okay, crypto news. It's a casino for dum-dums.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, crypto is a damn casino for dum-dums, Ethereum developer says. I cannot pronounce that name. So it's Peter. A core developer at Ethereum Foundation recently expressed some disillusionment towards the crypto industry. He's making some points, but I don't exactly agree. So there is an entire article. I sent you the article, but there's a snippet from his X post. It says, take SpaceX, for example. They send a rocket to Mars, ? Humanity advances. They fail to send one and blow it up. Humanity learns a lesson and advances. All outcomes lead to progress. In contrast, crypto is a damn casino for dum-dums. And effectively what he's saying is it's like people are just trying to follow effectively the memes and treat crypto as a get rich. And again, what we're actually looking for is utility, and that hasn't, I guess, spawned for him. And kind of part of that, my criticism back to him be like, well, if you don't think crypto is advancing, and why don't you actually develop a utility that people will actually use, or make crypto easier to use to get more people into it? Yeah. I mean, do you have any additional thoughts on it, or?
I mean, yeah, it's kind of like basically he's complaining of something, and he has the ability to create something and fix what he's complaining. But I mean, I don't know. I mean, you're always going to have that. You're on people who just say they don't like something because they don't like it.
Yeah, I mean, and this is a developer. The only reason I really kind of bring it up kind of half-assed, not that I'm trying to give the article too much of attention, but a lot of times, news media will say is like, well, here is a developer that's inside, or, here's somebody that's in the know, and use that as part of a FUD campaign because here's somebody speaking from authority.
No, they know. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And to be honest, it's like there is so much going on. There's so much development. And yeah, and I've said this before, there is a lot of dumb money in this market.
Well, yeah, I mean, I mean, if you know how to, you can make money at anything.
Yes.
Honestly, if you know how to play the game to make the money.
Yeah.
And that is a possibility here. I mean, it's I mean, it's like penny stocks. You can, if you know how to play the game, you can make the money. Yeah. It's just, you got to learn how to play the game. It's the problem is people see people playing the game and winning, and they want a piece of the pie too. Yeah. Well, then they try and they can't, and they lose money, and then they get mad, and it's.
Yeah, we've seen a few of those people, and there's definitely a lot of different types of utility brought, to the crypto market. We just haven't seen it realized just yet. Yeah. And that becomes the question mark in some people's minds. It's like, because I'm just looking at this from the devil's advocate perspective, especially after reading something like that. It's like, because we're sitting here, we're just talking about, well, utility, but it's like, well, what does that mean? It's like, when as a normal person will I be able to actually see something that I can actually use? When will it affect my daily life? And that's a really hard question to ask, or I mean, not ask, but answer. It's, man, I wish I need to find the video so I can send it to you because it's hilarious. So this is a recording of news anchors in the 90s making fun of internet and email. Yeah. It'll never take off. It's not a thing.
You've sent that to me, and I've seen it, and they make jokes about it. It's like, oh, I mean, we're just not going to send mail to the mail postal service anymore. Yeah, it's like, and then, yeah, I need to get the email over here.
Yeah.
It's I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, I'm gonna send you money without actually trying to withdraw from the bank first.
Yeah, that's exactly what's happening right now.
And that's kind of the stage where we are. Is that it is definitely hard to see the forest for the trees because we're in the middle of seeing the development. Yeah. It's like, it's like, I'm not dumb, but my imagination is limited on what I could actually potentially see as good use cases. And there are actually potentially really good ones. VeChain and HBAR, they're actually both trying to go after the supply chain, management, being able to track this, that sort of thing on a public immutable network. I mean, this is actually effectively going to be a huge use case, and then the companies that are going to want to participate that, well, every time a item that's actually transitioning through the supply chain gets scanned and then registered, that's effectively a transaction. So, I mean, you're talking about like high usage, high volume. I mean, even though that it's going to be extraordinarily cheap to register those things, as they're actually going through, it's actually going to have a big network effect. So again, I mean, that is just a singular use case. Has it been realized yet? No, I mean, it's still being investigated. Could it be realized or could it fall through? Yeah, I mean, it could go either way.
True. But yeah, we're in the very early stages. That's all we got to keep
Yeah.
remembering.
It's just like,
I know Bitcoin's been around, what, 10 years now, roughly 20?
yeah,
Somewhere around there. It's been around a while, but it's also the first one. We've talked about that. It's so it's very early stages. It's the one that made people realize, hey, there's something more to this than just some farce. I'll give it to Bitcoin that, and it's like you said, we've talked about this before. Gold, this is the gold standard, especially not gold standard. The gold, the as in like it's what's going to hold like money. The what am I looking for here?
Value.
The value, hold value, maintain value, continue to slowly go up in value, because obviously the less you have, the more valuable it becomes. Just like gold. It's, we've talked about that. So but it was the one that, like, look at Elon Musk. Now he wasn't the first, but he was the one that made people realize, oh, electric cars, they can be more than, they're just, it's like, it'd be cool, because a lot of electric cars looked like garbage. You look at the Prius early ones that were even the hybrids and stuff, they just didn't look cool, but he made electric cars cool. He made it where people, he broke the ground to make it popular. And that's, if you think about it, Tesla did that. They weren't the first one. Electric cars been around for years, probably longer than we realize. I've seen cars, like in pictures of cars in like the 50s or something like that, where they were just like some guy made an electric car, of an old Model T or something like that. But it's the thing is he made it where it's popular, and he made it where it's like it was cool and made people want it. And that's what, and I think we're not there yet. Bitcoin sort of did that because the people think they're rich off of it, and that's where it gained popularity. And just the crazy, going up, 100%, whatever, when it did last time when it ran like crazy. That's what, because it hit mainstream media, because people started hearing about it. That's what made it popular. But I think in time, as we go along in this whole crypto journey, it's just going to take time, and we're going to see it where other things come out. And that's what we talk about utility. When people can see what's the use case, what am I actually putting my money into? That's what you hear a lot of people say, like, I'm putting my money into something it's not there. There's nothing there. You're just talking bits, ones and zeros, right? Where I think when you have utility, people are going to see what it can actually do and how it can pertain to them in daily life. That's when you'll start seeing people come in the market a lot more. That's just what I think. But
well, there is that, and the other half of it is that there's probably going to be a level of transparency to it where it becomes so ubiquitous that people wouldn't even realize that they're even doing something that's associated with it.
Yes, and we're sort of seeing that. If you think about it, we got Zelle, we got PayPal, we got Venmo. You're sort of doing that now. Just it's not really tied to crypto, because we're only doing it within the U.S. Here in the U.S. When we start moving money across lines, other countries, you're moving U.S. dollars to other currencies or whatever currency we may have at the time. That's when that's when I think people will, as far as like a financial aspect of it. Now there's a whole other contracts aspect of it. There's there's lots of other aspects to what crypto can do ultimately. But anyways, I'm gonna have a drink.
Yeah, I know.
I'm gonna come down off my pedestal. But
no, it's definitely a good conversation to have. I mean, it's like I was like, I would like to have, more engagement, but we need more viewers.
Oh, well,
You know,
we need more time in life too.
well, there's that. Need to record more often too.
Yeah, well, again, more time. All right, well, sign off.
Yeah, send us out.
All right, I'm Jesse. This is Jeff.
I'm Jeff.
Thanks for watching.
Yep. Good night, everyone.